What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Cubs on Tap. I'm joined tonight by my friend Juice. I'm Cody. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody on Tap. You can follow Juice at Juice on Tap. We're branded as fuck, as I like to say every time me and Juice do the show. Cubs lose 6-3. Cubs make it look better than what it really was. Just an overall tough night, buddy. How you doing? How you feeling? Bad audio, great visual. I'm wearing the Cubs new City Connect hat, so that's about the only thing that's making me happy right now because it came in the mail yesterday.
Nice, bud. Positives only. We're going to try to be positive, right? At least for maybe 10 seconds of this.
Yeah,
not fun. Last 3 days, not fun. But with that said, eventually they won't be in New York and we'll be back at Wrigley Field and vibes will be back. But I don't know what's going on, man. The Cubs are just not playing well. And Ronnie Woo went to a Sox game. And I don't know what the fuck's going on. The world 2020 was fucked up. 2021, man, extra fucked now that we're out of this.
Yeah, except it's more positive vibes and no one's, we don't have shit blowing up and people dying every day. But man, you just kind of, I don't know. I kind of felt like this Mets series was going to go this way. The Mets series in April, the Cubs had a lot of things go their way, and they end up sweeping the series. And in this series, the Mets have had a lot of things go their way. And as we've seen, they've won 3 straight to start this series. Cubs have a chance to salvage one tomorrow. The only thing that I kind of feel that doesn't hurt me as much is you remember when they were getting their ass beat by the Giants? That team, you couldn't name anyone on that team. This Mets team's actually good. They're at the top of their division for a reason. They're good. And they have the starting pitching. And of course, this Cubs team just doesn't have the starting pitching. I mean, we had to start Robert fucking Stock tonight. I didn't know who Robert Stock was until 2 days ago, bro.
Yeah, the Dow was way down today, buddy. Just way down.
The stock market was way down tonight. You hate to see it. I don't know. It's a tough one just because you had to go up against Jacob deGrom, and then you kind of hit a break in him needing to come out of the game because of a shoulder injury, and you don't capitalize still. But I mean, I was kind of hoping maybe Rossi would bring in some guys to play to once he came out to kind of take the spot of, I don't know, Rafael Ortega and Eric Sogard. I don't know. It was kind of like they booted this one tonight anyway because they didn't put the best lineup out there. And it was already bad enough you didn't have KB. And I'm not worried about KB. I just knew that he probably wasn't going to play tonight. He probably won't play tomorrow either. But I thought when DeGrom came out, I was like, all right, we got a new ballgame, especially after Rizzo hit the home run. But then Stock just he didn't give you the shutdown inning you needed. He didn't give it. And if they would have been able to hold him to those 3 runs, we'd be in extras right now. But
it's
tough.
It is tough because you go into the game, it's almost like a double kick in the balls, right? Because it's you go into the game thinking, all right, we're gonna have to work at bats against DeGrom. And then the first 3 innings, he Ks 8 out of 9, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a long, long night. And they score early. But yeah, with that said, man, and then he gets hurt, and then he can't do anything against, the bullpen either. It was just kind of like I said, it's really hard for batters when they go into a game and you're preparing for Jacob deGrom, and then you don't get deGrom but with that said, they weren't successful against deGrom either, which nobody is.
It was really bad. It was really bad against deGrom.
But this whole series, they just look like a team that's just disinterested of being in New York, which I can get because it's me and Ron were talking about it last night. It's you play your division rival at home, full capacity, and then you go out to New York where I don't even know if their ballparks are at full capacity yet or not. Even if the Mets isn't. Even if they are, the Mets barely fill that park anyway. So I mean, it's
the Mets have it at 80% right now, is what I heard on the broadcast last night. Your point on you have a emotional 100% capacity crowd at Wrigley, and then you go out to the Mets, and it's different. You're on the road, and the Cubs have struggled on the road this year. I think they're 4 games under 500 on the road now. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm not exactly sure. But my thing is, last night's loss is probably what hurts the most, because like you could have came back, but Willie Harris did what he did, and whatever. I listened to you guys' recap of last night's show, and you can justify both sides a little bit, so it is what it is. I think tonight it was just kind of like injuries really showed why the flaws the Cubs have, and showed that, okay, this team isn't going to be there at the end if all these guys that are hurt right now are, it eventually it will come back. It will catch up to them. And I've been very positive about this team for the last month and a half. But I feel like maybe this Cubs offense looks a little bit different if you have Matt Duffy or Nico Horner in the lineup against these high strikeout guys. You know what I mean? That's kind of the problem, is they don't right now, they don't have a lot of high contact guys out there. And that's what Nico Horner and Matt Duffy are. They're your high contact guys. I know when Matt Duffy went out, he was top 5 in MLB in contact rate, minimum 50 at bats or something like that at the time. And he's been out a while. I'm waiting to hear when he's coming back. We haven't got an update on him. Nico Horner, obviously, we saw how good he was whenever he was with the team. He became such a huge piece of the team. And now we have to rely on Sergio Alcantara to be productive as often as he can. We got to, get whatever you can get out of Eric Sogard. It just isn't going to carry throughout the year. And, that is what it is. And it didn't help that KB got hurt yesterday. You know what I mean? I don't know if he would have done any better against DeGrom, but shit, you just taking his presence out of the lineup sucks. It absolutely sucks.
Yeah, to build on your point too, it's not just in the lineup; it's the starting pitching too. If you remove an Adbert Alzolay out of there, and you have to start guys like Stocks and Alec Mills, and those are the guys who are going against Taijuan Walker and Jake DeGrom. It's you look at the lineup even before it even comes out, and you go, man, you're going to need baseball-y things to happen to win this, right? It's you watch the game and you don't feel confident with the lineup that they can trot out there in thinking, I have an advantage here, here, and here. And this lineup looks absolutely atrocious when 2 of the big 4 don't play, right? Tonight, Wilson Contreras doesn't start, neither does Chris Bryant, because obviously the wrist issue. And it's almost with the way Ian Happ has looked this year, you only really have 2, maybe 2.5 professional hitters in a lineup against a guy like DeGrom and a pitching staff like the Mets that, they just have so many guys that can just throw at you. Even after, even last night, Lugo, he's nasty, and then you get to Diaz and he's a great pitcher too. So I don't know, man, it's really, it's unfortunate, but I also feel too, the schedule has been for June, it's go on the road, play a long road series, then they go home and they get a small, side taste of, home. And now they're back on the road again. And it's just a nice long stretch at home for this team would do wonders, no matter if the teams are, first or second place type caliber or not. It'd just be nice for them to get a nice run at Wrigley. And I know they've had that, recent and already once or twice this season, but I think it's almost just stay ahead and play 500 ball until you can get home, and then, just go on a huge run and sweep and win 2 out of 3 against the teams at home.
Yeah, well, they play a lot of games at home in May, so that's why all these road games have come up in June. And we talked about everyone's talking about going into June. It's a really tough schedule. It's going to tell us whether the Cubs are going to buy or sell in July. Depending on what happens in June. Now, and before I get to what I want to say, I guess we can answer Scott from Iowa's comments here. Yeah, so why did Stock hit his last at bat? I was wondering the same thing too. I don't know if you noticed, Juice. He hit for himself and then they took him out. I didn't really understand it, except for maybe the fact that it was still early in the game. But it was
limited bench too. You got to think with no Chris Bryant. I assumed tonight was I can't play Chris Bryant. So I mean, with limited bench, if you burned one that early with nobody on base, I'm pretty sure at that time nobody was on. It's like, well, for what? You know what I mean? It's kind of in that fourth inning, and if you didn't have,
he actually almost hit the ball out like in his bat.
Yeah,
he hit one to like dead center, almost to the warning track.
That's the only thing I could
that
come
bad
up
of a
with.
swing.
That was the only thing I could come up to. Like, I mean, when you look at it, they were on a limited bench tonight. I mean, realistically, and you didn't want to burn Willie there because it's like that's your backup catcher plus, and then the only other guy would have been Alcantara, right? Or Marisnik.
So. Yeah, those two.
But you were almost kind of hoping for that point that the game settled down and they would have been able to, claw back, and then you're using those high leverage guys later on in the game opposed to, I think that was the fourth inning at that point. It's kind of that's a tough spot. I don't fault Rossi for that one. I do fault Rossi for sending out Stocks for the fourth inning, like we said earlier. I think it was almost time to maybe even go to Abbott then. I know he gave up a home run, but
it wasn't the difference was he was throwing strikes. I think that was the biggest thing for Stock tonight. He couldn't throw strikes. He walked 5 or 6 guys. He walked one on 4 pitches, walked one guy on 4 pitches with the bases loaded. Like he had 6 walks tonight, man. Like you can throw triple digits every single pitch like Jacob deGrom, but if you can't throw strikes, it doesn't matter. And that's what separates even like the average pitchers to the bad ones. You know what I mean? Like, and it's one of those things where like you just like throw strikes, and that guy's trying to throw strikes, but he just can't do it. That's something that pitching coaches and all those people know how to fix it potentially. I like Stock. There was like that first inning, he got that ground ball double play to kind of keep the game tied, and I was like, all right, he got some momentum. He's maybe it'll help him settle in a little bit, and then then he walked more guys, and then, I mean, if you keep walking guys, it's gonna come back to haunt you unless you're Jacob deGrom. You know what I mean? Unless you're a guy like that, and even though he can throw 100 miles per hour, it doesn't mean that he just throws strikeouts or gets strikeouts every at bat like deGrom did for that one time through the lineup. So, I do like Stock, and I would be interested to see how the Cubs will use him moving forward. I think with the stuff, maybe he could be a nice bullpen piece, in which he probably would be, because Albert Alzolay would have started tonight probably, or Trevor Williams would have started tonight probably, if they were healthy. So I go back to the injury thing. Like, this is one of those series where the injuries are really showing. Missing Nico Horner, missing Matt Duffy, missing Albert Alzolay, and you knew you were going to miss Albert Alzolay eventually. You knew you were.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just on top of the fact they had to go up against deGrom, get the break that he comes out of the game early, and then you give up more runs, and then you kind of had some chances there in the middle innings to maybe claw back, and you just can't come through. It's tough, but I don't know, man. A lot of people on, were in the Cubs on Tap mentions just like bitching about Jason Hayward after I tweeted from the account, was like, looking at Jason Hayward's slash line is not fun, and it's not fun right now. He's batting like 164 or some shit like that, and his slugging is below 300, and his on base is well below 300, and like, it's not great. It's like, this is your highest paid player on the team, and he looks awful. And I've been trying to hold out and wait for him to like get it together, but this guy just doesn't have it, man. And I don't know what the Cubs are gonna do. Like, they can't keep playing him. Like, it's going to get to a point, if it keeps trending like this, that he's just going to be your late inning defensive replacement. And it is what it is. I don't care that he's making $20+ million a year. If you want to win, you have to do what you got to do. It sucks. I like him as a player. I like him as a person, but like, he is just not getting it done right now, man.
Yeah, 2 spots in that outfield really aren't getting it done, because Ian Happ is getting a lot of playing time out there in center, and you start to think, obviously you've seen Wisdom play a lot, and Matt Duffy plays third. So when he comes back, does Chris Bryant just exclusively play right field? That's and maybe at that point, what do you do? Because then you're rotating 3 in center field with Marisnik too. So it ends up being like what because personally I think when Nico's back or when they get somebody back, I think Eric Sogard he's DFA'd. I think that's the first move that they do to clear, some roster spot for the bench. After that, it'd be really interesting to see what they do to clear spots, because there's some guys on this team like Sergio Alcantara, like, Patrick Wisdom, who they've produced and warranted, a spot on that bench. So what do you do? Because you can't have 3 guys in center field, 2 of which are one of which is Ian Happ, who you're kind of projecting as your future, for your future clubs. And you're looking at Jason Hayward, who is, if I'm not mistaken, he's like 24 million this year. So that's not a guy that you're just going to sit and have as a defensive replacement. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but money talks, and the guy's going to be out there against right-handed pitching. He's just going to, and he's that bad. So it's a matter of turn it around, buddy. I don't know what you were doing, last year, the year before, when we saw at least a serviceable Jason Hayward. He wasn't the 180, $190 million guy you expected you were getting when you made the signing, but he needs to be at least 2019, 2020 Jason Hayward.
Right. And I'm not trying to go in on him. I mean, he was literally a pinch hitter tonight. But I got people talking about it because, he came up to the bat and he struck out really badly. And it's just dude, when are you going to get it going, man? Because it was one thing when you can't hit lefties, but man, he can't hit anyone right now. And the Cubs are going to need him to show up eventually. And the same thing with Ian Happ. They're going to need Ian Happ to at least be more consistent. Hits a home run against St. Louis over the weekend, and since that home run, I believe, was on Saturday, what has he done? He hasn't done really much of anything, and he strikes out a lot, and it's just I thought he had turned the corner last year, and we're seeing a lot of what we saw in 18 this year.
Yeah.
We saw the good Ian Happ that we really like is all of 17, all in second half of 19 when he finally got called back up, and then this year, or not this year, 2020. That was the Ian Happ that we were all right, that's what we want to see. And after he was spent all of 19 down in the minors basically, and then brought back up and was scorching hot, and then took that into 2020 and pretty much played that way for most of those 2 months. You thought you're going into 2021 with an improved player, a guy that we talked about on this podcast as a guy that we were this is a guy that potentially, might earn himself a contract extension and keep around for the next set of core players to, when the Cubs are ready to contend again. And he ain't playing it man. It's I'm ready for Brennan Davis to come up and show us what he's got.
And that's that's the flip of it, right, man? Because in a guy like that, with potentially some revenue coming back into the Ricketts, pockets to invest back into the ballpark, you're looking at Ian Happ as way differently than you would have at the beginning of the season now, right? Because there are guys in the system right now who can play his position and are worth taking a look at. And I think I don't want to get overly critical of Ian Happ. I still think that potential is still there. I think somewhere inside of that, I think the smartest thing for him to do would be to go to Chris Bryant and see what he did over the course of last offseason, because it seems like the same problems Bryant had last year with high fastballs is the same problem that Ian Happ has had almost his whole career. It's the fact that he seems to get on top of them. If he does hit him, it's choppers. Or it's weak contact. He's got to figure out how to level out some of his swing at least a little bit, because while I love it and I understand the 3 outcome baseball that we're in now, that's not the guy that we need out of that center field position when there are guys on this team. If you are going to look to the future to extend some of them, we need Ian Happ to be doubles and singles guy for a lot of it too. He can hit 20 bombs. I'm okay with that. Hit 20, 25 bombs, but I want to see Ian Happ between 270, 280. That's
right.
where I need to have him at.
And at the very least, need his on base to be high, because one of the things people love to talk about him is he's always going to give you a good at bat. He's going to walk a lot, and I mean I guess he has done that most of the season. It's just he's just not producing. He's not helping driving in runs on a consistent basis. And if he's going to be in the middle of the lineup, we kind of need him to do that. You know what I mean? Like today, you look at the lineup. You had Jock Peterson, Rizzo, Baez, Happ, and Wisdom. That was your first 5 guys in the lineup. Ian Happ goes 0 for 4 with the strikeout, left 2 on base. Dude's batting 189 for the season. Again, you in a regular lineup, you probably got Chris Bryant there, and Ian Happ's probably batting 5th instead of 4th or 6th, and you switch him with Wisdom, whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, the leadoff thing didn't work out, and thank God Jock Peterson has flourished in that role, but like we just need more consistency. Like I thought on Saturday he was going to turn the corner after hitting that home run against St. Louis, and especially going into that Sunday game when he had his career numbers against Carlos Martinez were really good, and he went an 0 for again. And I think he had a strikeout, and it's just like, all right, well, and then we just haven't seen anything any better this week either. So it's just like, all right, let's back to the drawing board again. And like I just don't know. I agree with you though that the high fastball is really hurting him right now. He's always been a better low ball hitter. He hits a lot of almost all of his home runs always go to the opposite field. It feels like, and that's because they pitch him away, and when he's going well, he's taking pitches away or he's hitting them to dead center. He very rarely pulls one out. It almost feels like, and that's not even just for home runs. Just like any ball that he hits, it feels like he never pulls it. I don't know if that's a problem or what, but
it's definitely a cold zone too. I mean, it seems like they get underneath his hands up in the zone far too often in his at bats. What he needs to do is maybe, if he doesn't want to go to the Chris Bryant route, he just needs to pull one into the seats 2 or 3 times to get him back to going away, because it seems like that's just it fits his approach. But I'm with you on that. I think that it's just frustrating because, like, he has that much talent. He literally was one of the MVPs of the Cubs last short season, and you look at what he's producing now, and you're like, man, I can't have a hurt second baseman, a hurt two hurt third baseman, and Jason Hayward out in right field doing what he's doing. I mean, like we said, realistically tonight you had like 3.5 good hitters. That's it.
I mean, if it keeps going like this for Ian Happ, then Jake Marisnick really is going to start getting more playing time too. And he hasn't done anything to lose playing time. But at the same time, I don't know how good he would be playing every day. Like, he's been really good in his role. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When you take guys out of their role, it will catch up. Water will find its medium. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that will happen. So that's why the Cubs need Ian Happ to like figure it out, man.
Yeah,
him and Jason Hayward both.
You can't be putting Marisnick out there against right-handed pitching either. They've shown the splits plenty of time on Marquee. He's that's just not who he is. He's strictly against left-handed pitching, and that's a problem because Ian Happ's better from the left side. So, well, no, that would make more sense. Maybe that's the platoon that you need to have. Maybe that's just what you end up doing more often now. And I hate it for Ian, but dude, until you can show me that you're going to show up, the Cubs got to do something, because they can't continue to throw guys like Sogard and Alcantara out there and expect, all right, well, we're just going to try to squeeze every ounce of talent these guys got out of them. It's going to catch up.
All right. And we're bitching about fucking Ian Happ and Jason Hayward, but as an overall offense tonight, the Cubs struck out 16 times. So, I mean, it's not great, Bob. And then their over the entire series, the Cubs pitching staff has walked the Mets 20 times or more. I saw the stat earlier. I assume they might have walked another guy eventually. So at least 20 times throughout these 3 games. And that's not going to get it done either. So across the board, nothing is going right. And that's what happens when you lose 3 in a row. So the if you want me to spin zone it and name you some positives, because we've been bitching, I can do that. You want me to do that for you, Juice?
Why not? Let's inject some positivity into this show.
All right. Anthony Vincent Rizzo goes yard again, back-to-back days. June Rizzo's here. He's his OPS over 800. I wish some guys would have been on, but when he hit the home run, you're like, all right, DeGrom's out. You maybe come back, whatever. Didn't happen. But I think for him, he almost hit one out off DeGrom. So I think he's seeing the ball good. He's seeing the ball great. Which, a couple of weeks ago, remember in San Diego when he just dropped that pop-up and he was getting trolled all over the internet. And I feel like since that game, he's kind of been on a different level. Like it like woke him up or something. I don't know. So yeah, there's a positive is, he's playing well. Rafael Ortega had the home run in the 9th inning. I say it as a positive just because I guess it shows that he can be a nice piece off the bench still. I haven't been as high on him as I have like Alcantara or Wisdom, but he could turn on one, whatever.
He'll kick rocks too when everybody's healthy. I hate to say
true.
it. Thanks for the home run, but cool dude.
Yeah,
we lost 6-3.
Yeah. I guess a real positive. Tommy Nance goes 2 innings again tonight.
Yeah, he's
didn't allow anything.
He's so good.
And Corey Abbott, I don't remember the last time Corey Abbott pitched before this game. I want to say it was the Giants series. I'm probably wrong about that.
I actually think you're right on that.
Okay. If I am, well, he went 2 innings. He did give up the home run, I believe. I think it was Pilar. But yeah. But, he ate you 2 clean innings, and the Cubs only used 3 pitchers tonight, and they didn't use any of their high leverage guys, unless you consider Nance a high leverage guy. I consider him a high leverage guy, but David Ross has been kind of using him all over the board. Like it doesn't really matter. He's kind of like,
I love his versatility.
Like they just using him whenever, and I'm kind of okay with that. And my last positive is the Cubs forced the Mets to get Edwin Diaz up and actually come into the game. Maybe that plays to. I know he only threw like 2 or 3 pitches, whatever, but you still had to warm him up. He's not going to be as fresh tomorrow if they use him. If it's a close game, just I don't know. It's a little bit different than it would have been if it would have been 6-1 and they didn't have to use him. It is what it is. There aren't a lot of positives, man. But
no, and it doesn't get any easier. What a brutal stretch of starters that the Cubs had to face in the last 5 games. I mean, even dating back to the win against Martinez, that guy's got nasty stuff too. And they were lucky to scratch across the 2 runs to win that ball game. Then you got the 4 games this set where you're seeing it seems like each and every night is a guy with nasty stuff that the Mets just roll out there. And I haven't looked ahead. I don't know if it gets any easier, but we'll take it 1 game at a time. Hopefully they avoid this 4-game sweep tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in these 3 games is Tajon Walker, he's really broke out this year. Like he's always a solid pitcher. He was actually a guy I was hoping the Cubs might have been able to get on the cheap this past offseason. But he had like a career day the other day. And then, DeGrom was DeGrom, but doesn't mean the Mets bullpen isn't good either. The offense, it just needs to cut down on those strikeouts. The last 3 days, the offense has looked like April's offense. And that team in April was striking out a ton. Fun. Yeah, it's not fun. So, yeah, man, I think I don't really have much else to say on this one except for that, I think it's one you just throw into Lake Michigan and you just try to come out. You got Kyle Hendricks tomorrow and you put your
positive.
Yeah, there's another positive. You got Kyle Hendricks tomorrow, and you put your A lineup out there, and you try to win and bring some positivity home back to Wrigley for a 5-game set between the Marlins and the Indians. So, yeah, man. I got, like I said, nothing else on this game.
Me neither, man. It's one of those. I often watch these games, and I think, what else would I be doing while watching these when they're losing like 5-1 or 6-1? Shit, man, what would I rather be doing? And I don't want any more of those because it seems like this whole series has kind of been like that. It's like, what else could I be watching? What else could I be intaking? Because obviously we both watch other sports other than baseball, and hopefully tomorrow's a different story. I want to turn the Cubs game on and go, all right, this is I want to watch this from front to back, and I want to be entertained and being entertained by good baseball. Like you said, cutting the walks down and making sure you're making more contact, I think, is a good step in the right direction for this ball club. And I think with Kyle on the mound, you're the ace, buddy. You're the stopgap. I always remember talking about, these old Cubs teams in 2016 and looking at like 98 and 03. It's like the aces of that team, when they were on a losing streak, they took the ball and they said, all right, it stops with me. We're not letting this thing go, full rotation through without, making sure that we at least get one out of them. So Kyle, put the cape on tomorrow and let's get one.
Yeah. Well, with that said, Kyle Hendricks he's been really good against most of these Mets hitters, and I'll get to that in a second. But he's coming in after a really nice start on Saturday against the Cardinals, where he struck out 2, walked 1, and gave up 3 hits. Obviously, I think the big story from that game is that I think he gave up 2 runs? Yeah, he gave up 2 runs. So, and I think they're both on solo homers. I want to say Nolan Arenado and Paul DeJong went yard that game. And he leads the league with 19 homers on the season. That's been his one flaw this year. And I think a lot of it has to do with just leaving the changeup or that sinker up. And, that's the key for him tomorrow is to not do that, I think. But at the very least, limit the damage, and, give the Cubs some clean innings. Just start the game so the Cubs can potentially, force Marcus Stroman to, feel the pressure. You know what I mean? Like that was the thing. Jacob deGrom, he might have just gone out there and thrown a perfect game tonight because he knew that the Mets were going to score off Robert Stock, and he was mowing Cubs hitters down. I feel like tomorrow, it's a little bit of an more even matchup. And if the Cubs can put together some good at bats, which despite striking out 8 of the 9 first batters, they did make deGrom throw like 50 pitches through like 4 innings. Ortega made him throw like 11 pitches. They can do something similar to that, maybe a little bit better than that, and maybe not strike out every single time. Like it makes Stroman, if you can get Stroman out by the 4th, 5th inning, 5th inning is probably more realistic. If you can get him out, then I think you got a chance with the bullpen the Cubs have. So, Stroman, he, he's delivered between 6 and 7 innings in each of his last 7 starts, allowing 3 or fewer runs. He has a 2.49 ERA over that stretch. On the year, he's 6-4 with a 2.33 ERA, 67 strikeouts. So yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, it's not, I'm not gonna try and say that facing Stroman tomorrow is going to be a lot easier than facing deGrom, even though it will be. But Stroman ain't no joke either. He's on this team and pitching really well right now. And, I think that the Cubs, after facing deGrom and after these last 3 days, and even though they lost tonight, that 9th inning, I mean, I guess maybe bring some of that energy with you tomorrow. Like, hey, like we almost came back, like we got the offense going a little bit. Baseball's so weird, man. Like stuff like that, it will roll into the next day if you're a good team or a team that just kind of vibes like this Cubs team does. Like they're just a lot different than bad teams, man. We all thought they're gonna be bad, and they're not bad. There's just the series just really fucking sucked. It's like that damn Giants series, man. Yeah, man. What are your thoughts on Marcus Stroman and in this Cubs lineup?
Yeah, I'm hoping they just, like you said, kind of took what I was going to say there. That 9th inning was nice to watch. Seemed like they put together a lot more professional at bats in that 9th inning too, which is something that I think that, like you said, you can take into tomorrow. It'd be nice if they just got ahead on Stroman real early, and then Kyle just could cruise through 6, and then you can get to that, Chafin, Tepera Kimbrel kind of run there just to kind of nail it all down. On getaway day, I think that these are even more important when you've lost the first 3 of a 4-game set, because it's like if you go home feeling like you just went out there to get your ass kicked for 4, it feels really rough, doesn't it? And I mean, for the sake of the season series, if they win tomorrow, they took 4 out of the 7. So I mean, it's really solid for that. I'm confident with that. I think any of them would take that, considering how good that Mets team is. So it's a matter of just going out there and putting good at bats together. Take your walks, let Stroman get into the strike zone and find something and deposit it somewhere. I think that's the key for tomorrow's game. I think an early lead would be nice. We would just go right into fly the W players, right? I mean, I think at that point we can just talk about, I'm going to take Javi Baez. He's got 2 at bats against him. He's got 1 home run. And Javi just seems like the type of player on getaway day. They put it on the back. Him and Rizzo just seem like the 2 most positive picks for tomorrow. Let's just go out tomorrow, win a baseball game, and play clean. And that's about it. Play clean. Hopefully on the manager side too. I know we didn't talk about it much, but these last 2 have been really critical in terms of David Ross. Hopefully for his sake too, he has a nice managed game tomorrow. And it sets up easy for him to feel confident about what he's doing with his ball club too, because there have been some questionable kind of decisions that were made over the last 3 games here. So with that said, let's just try to get a dub tomorrow.
Yeah, man, you hit it on the nail about David Ross. Tonight leaving stock in for an extra inning. The night before with just how the ending of that game went. I don't like this. Go ahead.
I don't know. I know you listened to last night's episode. I was a huge component of the hit and run at that point. That's just, I thought that was something that needed to happen, considering, even if Sogard struck out last night, I thought Marisnik was taking second. So it's kind of like a 2 for, it's like a 2 for 1 positive kind of thing there. I really thought, I don't think Sogard was going to line into a double play there. And even if he did, he hit it hard somewhere. You tip your cap and say, all right. But yeah, that was kind of my critical comment of David Ross last night. And obviously, like you said today, it was having too much leash with a guy who you could clearly see was struggling.
Right. So everyone knows I always take Chafin as my fly the W player. But if I did take an offensive player, if I took a position player, I'm going to roll with, the captain, Anthony Rizzo. I think you said it whenever the Cubs, after Rizzo dropped the ball or whatever in that Padres series, and that was after they had lost 4-5. So the Cubs are on another one of those like little mini losing streaks. This is when the captain comes out. This is when he puts the team on his back. He's never actually faced Marcus Stroman,
which is odd.
It is, but he spent most of his career with Toronto, right? So maybe that's probably why.
They went to Wrigley in 2018
in like 2018.
2017?
Yeah, it was 2017 or 2018. I want to say
was he hurt? Like
he might have been, yeah. Or they just, it's a 3-game set, I'm pretty sure, probably.
Maybe they missed
They probably just missed him, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but he's never faced Stroman. That could be good for Stroman. That could also be good for Rizzo. So we'll see what happens, man. I don't know what it is. I think the Cubs are going to pull one out tomorrow. I lost all my money. I won on the White Sox today, put it all on the Cubs. I bet them at plus 260 to start at the beginning, just because I was like, I'm going to close my eyes and just not even pay attention to what the Cubs are putting out there. We're just going to ride positive vibes. Didn't work out. DeGrom came out. They were sitting at plus 900. Threw $5 on it. Didn't work out. So I just lost all my money that I won from the White Sox winning today to because of the Cubs. So it is what it is. But I'm going to bet the Cubs tomorrow. And I think Rizzo, at the very least, is going to get a hit against Marcus Stroman. Hopefully those odds are not too in favor of that, but and maybe you can get it at like minus 150. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't really have much else except for, you got to win tomorrow and take some momentum going back to Wrigley. I know the Cubs have struggled on the road. I know they've been really good at home. But at the end of the day, if by the end of the season you're around 500 on the road and, really good at home, that's a recipe for a really good fucking team. So, and we've seen this Cubs team win big games on the road. It's literally just a week ago, they beat Yu Darvish in San Diego. And the game before that, they beat another really good pitcher. I can't remember, but they took 2 or 3 in San Diego. That team's really fucking good. I'm not going to forget that. There's some, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. There's still, injuries that guys got to get healthy, but we just got to maintain pace. I haven't mentioned this at all, but I tweeted, I believe it was on the day of the first game when the Padres came to Wrigley at the beginning of the month. I think it was either Memorial. Yeah, it was Memorial Day, actually. It was Memorial Day. So it was May 31st. So it was the beginning of the June schedule, basically, right? And I said by the end of the Mets series that the Cubs would be 9-8. They might be 9-8 exactly tomorrow if they lose.
If they lose.
If they lose, yeah. They could be 9-8. But I said that I would be happy with 9-8 if it does happen. And if they lose, it will be. But if they win, it will be 10-7?
10-7.
Like, yeah. So I think all things considered, considering how tough the first part of this June schedule it was, there's not a lot you can be mad about. Plus, like I said before you even went live, the Brewers lost today, so you don't even lose a spot in the standings today. I don't know what the Cardinals did. Doesn't really fucking matter.
1-0.
No, them. Fuck them. I fucking hate St. Louis.
Well, they're playing tomorrow, so
yeah. Well, they're helping them get set up to get their ass beat by the Cubs this weekend. So all I'm saying is given the schedule coming out, whether it's 10-7 or 9-8 after tomorrow, I think is solid. When I added it all up, I was hoping that the Cubs would go 3-3 against the Padres, take 2 or 3 against St. Louis, and go 4-4 between the Giants and the Mets. And we swept the Cardinals and went 5-1 against the Padres, but it's just been tough against the Giants and the Mets. So I almost predicted correctly, but I don't know. I think that's just a little bit of my own, bigger picture. Like things could have gone a lot worse, but a winning record in June is not bad. I can't complain. So
yeah, through that 17 game stretch, I bet you if you asked David Ross if you would guarantee 9-8, he would have been like, "Yeah, sign me up. I'm good," because that's a good quality group of teams that you beat to go 9-8. And get a win tomorrow, and 10-7 sounds good to me. Almost you're over halfway through the gauntlet that is the June schedule. So and you're still in first. So you'll start to get healthy. You'll start to play better baseball once these guys are back and get some home cooking. Be nice to have, this 5-game set, like you said, after but take care of business tomorrow first to get some momentum. That way you can come home and, take another 5 at home. How sweet would that be? You take 5 at home and makes everything feel better about what happened over this course of this series. So,
and another vibes only. For sure. And another thing, like, the Mets, they aren't even in the division. So it's like, as long as you keep beating on the teams that are in your division, I know the Cubs have struggled against Milwaukee, but outside of that, they've played very well against all the other teams in the division, especially St. Louis. I just like to reiterate that they're like 5-1 against them. So as long as you take care of business in your division, the Cubs should be just fine. But you just play 500 baseball against all the rest of them. That's all I can ask for. So anyway, man.
Yeah, I'm good with it, man. I think I'm not exactly sure, but I do think that the Milwaukee Brewers play a series against the Mets late in the year, if I remember correctly, of looking at their schedule. So, glass half full, with the division on the line, possibly they'll be maybe looking at DeGrom, Tyon Walker, and Marcus Stroman, opposed to I think the Cubs play Pittsburgh and then the Reds, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the year. So,
I know the very last series of the year they play St. Louis, actually. So, but the series before those, I don't know. I haven't looked at the September schedule up close.
Here, just confirmed it. So September 24th to the 26th, the second to last series of the year, the Mets play the Brewers.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
I'll take that.
there's going to be a lot of strikeouts and really low scoring games in those games, unless, injuries or something to change things. But yeah, those will be really boring games that no one's going to want to watch. I guarantee it.
Damn right.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, again, this is Cubs on Tap, the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody on Tap. You can follow Juice at Juice on Tap. And you can follow all the rest of the guys at Cubbies on Tap at Cubbies on Tap on Twitter and Instagram. Juice, one more time before you get out of here. Did you see the video I posted? I think on Sky's Falling the other day of Cubs fans literally sweeping Cardinals fans down Clark Street.
Absolutely loved it. I want that guy on the show.
With the cream pie 69 on his back.
I owe him a beer. At least one. That the greatest troll job of all time against the city that, as you know, I absolutely fucking hate. So, last weekend, I know I wasn't on any of these shows, but I was just full tent erect all last weekend watching this Cubs Cardinals series. Yeah. The Cardinals couldn't throw a baseball, man. That's how freaking awesome it was. Not one pitcher knew how to throw a strike, which was absolutely just beautiful to me. And then not only that, then you got to watch them lose a tight one, on Sunday. And Carlos Martinez is acting like he's throwing a perfect game, and they're down 2-0. It's like, dude, I've never seen anybody flex so hard with their team losing. It was awesome. Made that team look stupid as all hell. I absolutely loved it. It was maybe one of the best series I've ever seen since the beginning of baseball's time. It goes up there. I think it's Cubs World Series and then Cardinals sweep from last weekend. We're real close there. But it was absolutely beautiful. It was awesome. Yeah. I know I didn't get on shows for any of those, but I was celebrating pretty hard watching them just piss down their leg for 3 games. It was great.
Yeah. I just wanted to end the show on that because at least it gets us out of here with a smile on our face, man. So
damn right.
Hell yeah. Let's get a dub tomorrow. Kyle Hendricks I'd feed me 7 strong, over 3.5 strikeouts. I'll take it. I don't know what the line is, but I'll assume that's what it will be. Let's get a dub, head back to Wrigley and win a series.
Sign me up, man. I'm there.
All right. Let's get out of here the only way we know how. Let's go Cubs.
Let's go Cubs.